Hello everyone, welcome back to Discovering Dawson's Creek on It's a Wonderful Podcast. Oh, I feel like there's always a trend with Dawson's Creek, Janine, or maybe just lately, maybe it's a season 5 thing, who knows. But I feel like every other episode I will be shaking my head at what goes on in these episodes. And then the
Mhm.
episode after, I'll be like, okay, this is interesting. This is nice. This is,
Yeah.
this could be going somewhere positive. Oh dear, no, it's gone in a strange direction again. Oh, okay, we might be back. We might be back doing nice things with certain characters. Oh dear, people are struggling again. And it's
Yeah.
just a bit, it's not even the old back and forth of relationships dynamics. This
Yeah.
is just like being on a humpback roller coaster, and you're just going, well, hey, oh dear, well, hey, oh dear, well, hey, oh dear, all the damn time. And what's going on generally in these 2 episodes is some questionable things. I mean, I feel sorry for certain characters in certain situations, of course, a lot of
Yeah.
sympathy, but major things that are happening in these 2 episodes we have to talk about today, which are, of course, episode 13 and 14 of season
Yes.
5 of Dawson's Creek. I am just sitting with my head in my hands a little bit, despairing at the choices of, I suppose, writing choices as to why we need to be going through this sort of nonsense. Do we need it? Is it just there for melodramatic sake, and for some reason after 4.5 seasons I'm still not expecting unnecessary melodrama in a teen melodrama? I really don't know what's going on at the moment. I don't know where your head is at, obviously, being the far more in tune Dawson's Creek fan that you are.
Um, well, yeah, like, as I mentioned, I'm at a point where I don't fully remember what happens or how it happens until it starts happening. So as soon as kind of a opening beat of something like a major plot thing happens, I'm like, "Oh, that's right." So that's kind of where I'm at. So it feels a little bit like fresh eyes because this is my first rewatch in several years. So yeah, I do find myself kind of a little bit surprised when I remember things that they did and, um, ultimately kind of vaguely remembering how they turn out. So then I'm kind of like, "Well, then what was the point of doing this thing that you're doing?"
Good question. Yeah.
Um, so, like, we get our characters to a certain point, and then we're now finding a way to re-navigate it in a weird way for some of the characters. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's what it feels like. I think that's a good way of putting where my head's at. It feels like
Yeah.
we're doing really well with
Yeah.
maturing our main characters, with
Yeah.
really developing them into far more human being feeling people and not
Yes, and
just
adulthood and more
adults. Yeah,
self-awareness. Yeah, so, like, all the silly kind of choices, I love to hear them kind of call back to some of those high school moments that we saw and really have a better understanding of themselves now and making different choices. I've been loving that with the kind of college years aspect of these characters. But it feels like there's something with the writing where the characters are a little too settled and things are going a little too well that we gotta
yeah,
shake it up. Like, you don't always feel it, or you kind of expect it, and something is set up to feel like, okay, yes, eventually it's not going to work out because that's just how these things work. But they've gotten the characters to a place where they are kind of settling into something really nicely, but it purposely feels like now, like, you're actually more cognizant of, like, the shakeup that they're just trying to kind of
definitely.
fabricate to rock them out of the kind of nice, steady, self-aware, you know, place that you've kind of put these characters.
And you know what, though? That makes a good show. Having characters develop over the course of such a long
Mhm.
time, such a, 4 seasons as Dawson's Creek did, to get to a place of settling in is a good storyline in itself because you can explore how they're doing that. You can explore what that feels like to
Yeah.
them without just making the odd one here and there seemingly make a decision that even their high school 15-year-old counterpart from 3 seasons ago wouldn't have made because it
Yeah.
feels like more immature. And I'm not saying we have to linearly develop as people as we get older and older. We become, you know, wiser and wiser and unable to make any previous mistake, unable to
Mhm.
make any bad choices. Of course, we as human beings can continue to make bad choices for ourselves
Yeah.
as we grow up through life. But there is a certain you do feel it, as you say. It doesn't necessarily always feel built in to
Yeah.
this particular
Yeah,
season.
where it
It
did
really does
before.
feel where it did before, it really does feel like, "And now a curveball, and
Yes.
now
Yes.
something else that you didn't." It's like
Yeah.
Monty Python, and now for something completely different. "Oh dear, we
Yeah.
don't know where to go with the rest of this sketch. We'll just
Yeah.
end it and start something totally new." Because that'll be fun. Whether it's even totally new, okay, there might be allusions here and there to certain major things that happen over the course of these 2 episodes um, in the past of season 5. But did it really need to go anywhere? Did it really need to go
Yeah.
any further? And does it just feel like you're just throwing something at us for attention purposes? Like, we already
Yeah.
are attentive. You already have our attention, Dawson's Creek. You don't need to be extra with it. You don't need to
Yeah.
be over the top with it. I do wonder if now shows like this is what speaks to the not popularity, that's a wrong word, but I suppose the widespreadness of uh, need for the new thing, need for
Yeah.
attention all the time, quick short form, now, dopamine sort of addiction. I do
Yeah.
genuinely wonder whether a show like this that just throws random things or see. I mean, I'm condemning Dawson's Creek when I shouldn't be condemning Dawson's Creek because for the
Yeah,
most
like,
part
it's
it
not.
doesn't do this. But
No.
I'm noticing it more in season 5, and I'm enjoying season 5, as I think I've
Mhm.
stated many, many times over the course of us talking about season 5. I enjoy the difference of it. I have just noticed in the past few episodes of discovering Dawson's Creek this sudden throwing something in.
Yes.
And it genuinely makes me sort of sociologically wonder whether people growing up with shows at this time like Dawson's Creek, a One
Yeah.
Tree Hill, a whatever else it may have been,
Yeah.
um, whether the style of that and the structure of those shows speaks to the more modern day need for constant need for the constant new thing,
Mhm.
the inability to just sit with something, the
Yeah.
inability to be in one place for any great length of time. We need something new. We're addicted to having something new. It's the same kind of vibe, it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and I feel like the show is kind of better than that, and so I'm not, like,
Yeah,
saying again that I'm not enjoying this season, um, but yeah, the choices they're making, yeah, it just feels very much like we have to shake things up, and, like, you really don't, because I think we are enjoying seeing the development of these characters and seeing them, you know, grow beyond kind of the impulsive choices and kind of ego driven things that they were doing in the past and really learning
yeah,
from that. And now we feel like we have to kind of teach them a lesson even though they've already kind of learned it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's very strange. It
Yeah,
is a very
yeah.
strange one. Let's get the binder out though, Janine. Let's get into these
Yes.
episodes properly. Episode 13, Something Wilder, is our first
Yes.
one today.
Yes, episode 13, Something Wilder, aired January 30th, 2002. It's Dawson's first day in his new film school. Oliver, the somewhat obnoxious filmmaker Dawson met on the film festival, starts showing him around and wastes no time in asking Dawson to direct a movie he wrote. Reluctant to direct someone else's work, Dawson starts giving notes to Oliver on the script and ends up accepting the job thanks to Jen's incentive. Jen, on the other hand, is having some problems of her own. Her current state of happiness from the wonderful relationship with Dawson is reflecting on her on-air performance. Now she has to go back to the sharp-tongued, edgy advices she used to give instead of the romantic, love-themed ones. Meanwhile, Elliot finally has the courage to ask Joey out, but Joey makes second plans for a gathering with Professor Wilder. She makes a fake excuse not to go out with Elliot, and her evening takes an unexpected turn when she and Professor Wilder kiss. Elsewhere,
Mm.
Jack is
Good lord.
reprehended by his brothers for being on academic probation. And it just says irritated. So I think there was probably more, but I don't
My
think it
God,
printed
it's a
all of it.
ridiculously
Yes,
long
but
synopsis.
yes, I mean that was already a lot. And I think there was supposed to be more, but yes.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where these ridiculously long synopses are coming from, but they seem to be really on us at the moment
Yeah. Yes.
on Dawson's Creek. One storyline I suppose I do like, and I do think is well developed at the moment, is Dawson and Jen's whole thing,
Yeah.
both individually and together. I like that. Like, this is a great way of doing a bit of a shake-up thing of
Yeah, because it's not
having
derailing
Jen.
that relationship, but it's like,
No,
again, just kind of shaking up how their dynamic is affecting them differently.
yeah, having Jen be so successful on her radio show, yet her over happiness in her life is
Yeah.
actually detrimental to the quality of her radio show. That's a fascinating thing to kind
Yeah.
of explore,
Yeah.
and something that she has to take on board. And obviously, she doesn't want, she's not exactly going to want to be miserable again for the success of her radio show. So it's
Exactly.
pretty
Yeah.
difficult thing for her to try and contend with. And then on
Navigate. Yeah.
Dawson's point, having to, you know, just well start his new film school, yes, but then realize that it may be for the best for him to not have total responsibility over
Yeah.
absolutely everything, go and direct somebody else's story. Yes, okay, give him notes. Yes, okay. We see it in the second episode as well that we've got to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult than that because really, ultimately, Oliver is a waste of space. Like, get rid of him. We have another very annoying character on our hands here, I
Yeah.
feel,
Yes.
who not only is ridiculously overzealous, but the worst type of overzealous is when you're overzealous with no reason to be overzealous because you don't have
Yeah.
anything to show for it. And I don't know how he managed to win all these film festival awards before Dawson showed up in New Hampshire. But he seemed to, I always win the film festival, I always win, my films always win. You
Yeah.
don't seem particularly competent, and I'm not here saying Dawson Leary is the next Spielberg, even though he would want to be.
Yeah.
But there's levels to this game still, and we see in that second
Yeah.
episode that Oliver's not with it. He just seems a bit obsessed.
Yes, he gets very fixated. But I like that, Dawson makes efforts to try to rein him in, and ultimately, like, Elliot kind of relents. But it takes some pushing for sure. And yeah, I like this conflict of Dawson, you know, really kind of not wanting to direct something that he didn't write. and him
Yeah.
having to kind of understand why he feels that way, and that it is kind of silly to be, to limit himself in that way. And I like that Jen is kind of the one really pushing him to take this chance. And ultimately, when he does this, I think he feels really good about it. And it's a nice step
Yeah.
forward of him kind of getting back to the dream that he always had, the dream that his father supported very much, that he kind of was willing to let go of, not just for Joey, but for, um, you know, because once his father died, like the guilt of all of that, and the difficulty of all of that. So it's nice to see him really get back into the groove of, like, the Dawson that we know, with this now added layer of maturity and
Yeah.
struggle, because, Dawson lived a very privileged life, and I think that's what led to kind of a lot of his choices and his behavior in those early seasons. So now that he's been through some things, now that he's kind of matured, now that he has this kind of understanding, and even going back to a relationship with Jen in this more mature fashion, he's in a better place to now, do filmmaking differently and see filmmaking differently. So it's really
Yeah.
nice to kind of see him get back to this familiar thing in a new way, now that he's kind of this new version of himself.
Yeah. Completely losing the egocentrism, losing the
Yeah.
egotistical nature
Yes, and it
of
was
his
trying
own
to
mind.
feed back in him, like, "I don't wanna do it because it's not mine," you know?
Yeah, it
So
was.
and him letting that go and finding that, like, no, he kind of likes the idea of collaborating like this. So,
But
yeah.
it's kind of it's I have a lot of sympathy for Jen at this point because Dawson's ultimate happiness with his life at the moment, starting this fresh new film school, obviously, his relationship with Jen is going well. All his happiness is actually beneficial to his film work, is beneficial to his school
Yeah.
work. He is in such a good place.
Yeah.
And for Jen, it's it's a problem for her radio show
Yeah.
that he's so happy.
Yes, yeah, that she's kind of this doe-eyed schoolgirl now, so when she's giving advice, she's telling everybody all this lovey-dovey, mushy-gushy stuff. Like, Audrey calls into the show and's, like, asking, like, "Why are men so obnoxious?" She's like, "Men aren't obnoxious, you just haven't found the right one who can just make you the happiest you've ever been in your whole life."
Audrey does
Like
not want to hear this. Audrey seemingly calls into this show every day.
Yes, because she tells her, like, "Audrey, I keep telling you, you don't have to use your full name. This is, meant to be anonymous." She's like, "I have nothing to hide." So, yes, so, yeah, Jen's producers, like, pull her aside, and we hear her kind of lament to Dawson later that, like, she's in trouble because she's lost her edge, and it's all his fault, and Dawson kinda thinks it's a little humorous.
Yeah.
But then he gets her mad because he ends up, taking her advice and deciding to work with Oliver, and invites Oliver to a dinner that was meant to kind of be their time together after kind of spending the whole
Mm,
day doing their own thing. And, like, he says, "Oh, I don't have to invite him," but Oliver's already there, like, he's already downstairs waiting, so she's already kind of pissed, so she's like, "Whatever." So they go to pizza, and Dawson and Oliver are arguing about the film. She's trying to, like, at least be a part of the conversation and give her input and give her opinions, but they're both cutting her off. Like, she even goes to, like, grab a piece of pizza, and Oliver grabs the last slice. So she's
I mean,
just,
if
like,
Oliver had
irritated.
if Oliver had anything about him, he would have realized that
Yeah.
his presence was unwarranted here.
Yes.
He is now the egocentric one between him and Dawson. It's almost like, yeah, Dawson wasn't great on this dinner either, but I forgive Dawson an awful lot more these days.
Yeah.
Um, whether that's due to sympathy for obviously Mitch's death, I don't know. I'm still holding on to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but I certainly do forgive him and understand him a lot more than I ever have done.
Yeah.
And Oliver, just like the energy of Oliver is very, very off. I would not like to come across Oliver. I would not like to meet Oliver. He's like, I mean, he's like I seem to remember bringing up. I have no idea when and where. The last time I would have brought this up would have been. But if you ever met somebody like Quentin Tarantino, you would just be immediately off-put by him because
Yeah.
the energy is just too much.
It's
There's
too
just
intense.
calm
Yeah.
down, just relax.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
Oliver with none of the writing talent of somebody like Tarantino. That's
Yeah,
Oliver.
well, I mean, apparently to Dawson there is some writing talent there, so
Well, is there?
I mean,
I'm not so
according
sure.
to Dawson. But
This movie doesn't seem that good that they're making in the next episode, I'd like to point out.
yeah, it feels a little self-indulgent, but I mean, we don't really get a ton of like what the actual story is. We just kind of get
No.
glimmers of it. But yeah, so I think once, Jen is able to complain to Dawson about like how he treated her and that making her mad, and him like realizing it and her kind of being able to talk it out with him but still kind of be snippy with him, she's like, oh my gosh, it's back, I could do it. So she like immediately runs to the radio station to like get back to her snarky self. So a little kind of argument with Dawson, talking it out with him, made her kind of realize that, yeah, like I love this relationship with him, but no, he can be kind of an idiot, which means men can kind of be idiots. And so now I know what to say to
She's
people
like,
again.
yay, back on the radio.
Yes.
I do wonder
so
if
then
that's good for the mind, though. We have to keep ourselves in a snarky mindset for the benefit of the work.
Of our work. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, very kind of a fun little storyline with the two of them that didn't feel what we were discussing at the beginning. A storyline for me that did feel like something we were discussing at the beginning is the Jack storyline. So we do get Jack.
Why we have to throw more misery Jack's way, I don't know.
Exactly. And especially because we get him settled into a college experience where he feels accepted, where he can kind of be a part of something that he really believes in, where he can, because he has always been like, I am not a stereotype. Like, and that has kind of been the thing. Like, he has been able to fight against, what, people in the early 2000s sports, he is not, very effeminate. And he shows you that like gay doesn't have to be one thing. Gay is not one thing, and gay doesn't look like any kind of, one thing. So the fact that he gets to kind of be a part of this fraternity and him being gay doesn't bother them. They actively know he's gay and accept him and accept anyone he brings into the space. And he's settled in nicely there. So we already kind of, and he's happy, right?
So generally, we did have that rampant homophobia last episode.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. So we're already starting to kind of throw some, chinks in the chain here with last week with the homophobia kind of situation that he went through. And now here we're going full blown, like complete drama, fight, ensuing with the guys kind of in these episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, to kind of shake up Jack's, happy situation where his gayness is accepted, but now all of a sudden it's a problem to where people are now lying on his name, which we'll get into in the next episode. But yeah, so this just felt like a kind of a forced like fabrication, because where is this coming from? And Jack, getting lazy like this on his studies and like partying a little too much. And okay, maybe that makes sense. But then even like his brothers, like talking to him like, Jack, we're here to help you. Like, you doing that, it does make the house look bad. So we're just kind of doing a check and making sure you're okay. And Jack taking it the way he takes it just feels like a little bit of backtracking as well. So that's where it feels kind of like a fabrication. Jack's reaction to his wrong, him kind of immediately taking it the wrong way when they're trying to tell him like, you need to get your grades up. And then it escalating to what it escalates to a nasty kind of physical fight, and Jack getting drunk and being belligerent and all this kind of thing. And then leading to what happens in the next episode. It just feels like too much, too fast, out of nowhere, just to kind of shake up Jack's like happy situation,
And then again, by that time that fight ensues in the next episode, it's brought up all about again how really he's just a token in the frat house, and he's just
Yeah.
the token gay, and it's all
Yeah.
really just about you. I specifically have to do well as the token gay, otherwise the house will look bad. It's not
Look
actually about
bad.
me at all, is it? You don't actually care about
Yeah.
me. I am literally just what I am to you. I am not Jack to you. I am the gay one.
And the thing is, those were Jack's concerns early on when they were first courting him, that they were
Yeah.
just wanting him as a token, that they didn't really see him as a friend or a brother. And they said, "Oh no, Jack, like yes," and they were very honest. Like, "Yes, you know, you being part of our quota is necessary. Will look good to the dean, this and that. But we like you. We think you're a cool guy. We think you'd be a great asset to our fraternity. And we do, you are our brother. You are our friend, and we'll do whatever we can to support you, help you, whatever." So
Now that's
Jack
been forgotten about, seemingly.
yes. So all of that concern had already been brought up and dispelled. So the fact that now this is actually the case, that yes, he is just a token, they just need him for their quota, which I thought was cool that they were upfront about, but then, you know, preface that by saying, "Yes, but we do like him. We think you're a cool guy,
Yeah.
and we see you as our
That
brother."
that
All of
genuinely
that.
does not seem to matter to them anymore. And
No,
I
no.
don't know why this change has occurred with the frat
Yeah.
brothers. I don't know if it's because he now isn't doing well that they're just being negative towards him. We have to assume it is, but that's a very
Yeah.
unpleasant way to be, and that's not in line with what you were saying before. So really, you're all just a bunch of liars. And when I thought, Jack ended up not moving properly into the frat house last time because of that one very particularly homophobic guy, and there was the whole situation with the room changes and all this business. He
Yes,
ends up
and now
not
he's
moving properly in there,
yes, yeah.
and staying with Grams. This is why I was all for that happening, because the frat house just seems to be showing itself now.
Yeah.
It seems to have all been a rather unpleasant manipulation at the beginning, when I thought they were being
Wow, this is really
really,
open, and yes.
really open, really progressive about it, really,
Mhm.
a great depiction of this sort of thing. Let's dispel all the stereotypes of frat
Mhm.
houses. No, let's now, halfway through the season, reinforce the stereotypes of frat houses. Just feels a little bit, uh, uh, a little bit backtracking, doesn't it? It feels a little bit
Yeah.
unnecessary, like we're going in the wrong direction here.
Yes, or it's like we don't know what to do with Jack, so let's just give him frat house
Yeah.
drama. Gay frat house drama, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's
Because
gonna
I mean
happen next? He turns up in a frat house full of gay people, and it's
yes, but I
going to
mean
be just a strange, well, not a strange situation, but a kind of crazy situation. And all of a sudden, we're going to have Dawson's Creek be Dawson's Creek 80% of the time. And then when we go to Jack, it's going to turn into the campest thing ever. I mean, what's
yes,
going
right?
on? What are we going to
Yes,
get?
and now, and the conflict didn't even start with a gay thing. Like, it was literally him on academic probation and partying too much. So that in and of itself
Yeah.
could have been an interesting conflict. That Jack is struggling, he's in too much into the party lifestyle, he's gonna lose his opportunities at the frat house, and that kind of being a conflict, and maybe him having the negative reaction that he does, um, that being the problem. But the fact that they take that and then turn it into a gay thing, it does feel lazy, like that's all we can do with Jack is gay homophobic drama. So,
Yeah. He's
it
more than
just
that.
felt yes, it just felt a little lazy. And like when they did it earlier on, that was kind of interesting. But here it again it just feels like all of the things we were kind of talking about, that like they're purposely getting our characters settled into the college life in kind of a cool place where we're seeing their growth, where we're seeing them not as kids anymore. We're seeing them really kind of, be self-aware about, past behaviors and growing up, and getting them settled in a nice place just to like throw something at it to kind of mess it up. And this is a storyline that feels like they did that. So Yeah, so yeah, Jack gets a letter. Jen brings his mail over and he gets a letter and she says, "Oh, here's something from school. It looks really official." And then like Jack like kind of just looks at it and tries to ignore it. She's like, "You're on academic probation," because she obviously opened it and read it. And he's like, "It's not a big deal. You know, I can make it up. It's not a problem." And then his frat brother comes and talks to him like the main like head frat guy and says, "Hey Jack, you know, you're on academic probation. That's not good. Like you really need to get your grades up because you're making us look bad," and kind of scolds Jack a little bit. And so Jack doesn't like being talked to that way. And so he kind of just holds on to it and is frustrated because he feels like,
Yeah.
you know, the first sign of trouble, these guys are already on my case kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's you know, as we say, it's not a particularly pleasant storyline
yeah.
because we obviously like Jack. We've always liked Jack. I don't.
Yeah.
He seems to be getting done dirty, as we say. He just seems to be.
Yes, yes, and they're making his character kind of do more unlikable things because then even how the situation escalates is because, you know, he's still in his head and frustrated about how he was spoken to, which,
Yeah,
okay, on one hand, you could think, okay, that's fair, like he didn't need to address him like that. But on the other hand, yes, Jack, like you are making the fraternity look bad. That is part of you being a brother here. And you know,
it
they
is.
set up as well. You have resources. If you are struggling, whatever, a brother will be there to help you study, whatever. It seems like that would be a case for you to like, if you needed help. Take responsibility for your excessive partying and not paying attention to your schoolwork, right? Um, and even when Jack addresses with the brother that he feels like he scolded him, the brother's like, "Well, Jack, I didn't mean to like make you feel bad. I really just want you to succeed, and you know, when you succeed, we all succeed." And the brother kind of, you know, addresses Jack's concerns about how he was spoken to. So then, you know, Jack, he does a little bit better. He gets his grades up, and like, so the frat brother's like, "Oh, great, you got an A on this quiz and these two quizzes. That's great. Let's celebrate and go out tonight." So Jack um goes out to the bar and they're all kind of like teasing him because he was on academic probation. Like they're kind of like razzing him a
Yeah,
little bit and he doesn't like it. So he sat at the bar getting drunk by himself because the guys are kind of like razzing him about it. And he's still kind of letting it seethe about how they talk to him and that they're just teasing him and stuff.
yeah.
Um
This
and
fight was in this episode as well, wasn't it? Was it like the end of this episode? It wasn't in the next.
yes. Yes, I do believe, like, we focus mostly on the falling out with the brothers and then the weird awkward stage and, like, the whole gay stuff
Oh
happens in the next
yes.
episode. So yes, like, he's at the bar, like, just kind of irritated that everyone's kind of teasing him, how he was spoken to, so he's getting drunk, which is, like, this is kind of an excessive reaction, Jack, like,
Yes, it is.
that is kind of the essence of frat brothers, like, teasing each other and that kind of thing. But he, for whatever reason, just gets very kind of irritated about it. And so when one of the brothers comes up to him and says, "Hey, Jack, like, why aren't you having fun? It's supposed to be a good time." And Jack's like, "Oh, you're gonna scold me again," kind of thing, because he's already kind of drunk.
Yeah.
And then, like, as it kind of escalates, the brother then kind of gets a little homophobic with him and says, "Oh, are you gonna go cry about it?" Like, and, you know, and kind of calls him like a sissy or girly or something. I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
what he says,
I
but
do think the word sissy is used. It's unnecessary. It
yeah.
really rubs Jack the wrong way at this point,
Yes.
and understandably, he's upset by that. Understandably,
Yes.
he
He's
reacts
very
to
much
that, but do we need a
yeah.
fight?
Yeah, so then,
No.
like and then it feels like all the brothers kind of gang up on him, and they're siding with the
Yeah,
brother who has because when he makes that joke about, you know, Sissy and crying, um, like, all the guys are laughing. So, it immediately makes Jack and just plays into, I think, like, the feeling that he's already been feeling, like, it's not about friendship, it's not really about brotherhood, it's just about, like, him being gay and that kinda
yeah,
thing. So, I think in this moment, he's really just feeling like they don't really care about me kind of thing, and now that they're all kind of ganging up on him, and they kind of keep pushing it, and so Jack gets to the point where he punches the guy, a fight breaks out, they all kind of gang up on Jack. It's at Pacey's restaurant, so Audrey's there, Pacey has to break it up. Jack, like, ends up breaking his hand on a glass and the scuffle and is bleeding. And all his brothers just like, let's get out of here, let's go. And so they're not even concerned about Jack. They just leave him. And Pacey is there like tending to Jack's hand. So cut to now the next day, Jack comes and gives Pacey a check and he's like, sorry, for last night. This is, a portion of whatever I broke. I'll work on getting you the rest. And he's just about to leave. And he's like, hey man, like, let's talk for a minute. Like, what was that about last night? You could have got me fired, and you could have got me fired for a bunch of dudes who like clearly don't care about you. And then Jack kind of in the sober light of day is still kind of defending them a little bit like, oh, it's,
Yeah.
it's not
He's
a
a
big deal.
conflicted person at the moment, is Jack. I just don't like
Yeah.
to see it.
And Pacey's trying to counsel him, and it takes me back to those moments when Jack first came out as gay, and Pacey really stepped up to
Yeah.
defend him in the classroom, and the spitting in the teacher's face, and all of that stuff. And like Pacey again trying to kind of be supportive of him, and Pacey bringing his own insight. Like, I know how it is. You get all caught up in partying. You don't really want to face that you're failing stuff. But I know how hard you work to get into college. So like, what's going on? Like, I'm not judging you. I really just want to kind of understand, like, wait, how did you get here? Like, let's talk. I'm here. Like, Pacey really trying to advise him, give him a shoulder, give him an ear. And Jack is very defensive. Like, who are you to tell me? Like, I don't want to talk about it, kind of thing. And Pacey's like, he's like, what do you want from me, man? And like, Pacey's like, I don't want anything from you. I just kind of want to understand, like, how did you get here? How is this happening? And with a bunch of guys that you claim are your friends, like, and Jack is like, oh, whatever, I'll see you later. Like, Jack just doesn't want to talk about it. So again, just another reason to love Pacey, that he's really trying to
yes,
like
of course.
be there for Jack. And it just reminds me of those times in high school when he was really like supportive of Jack, and Jack even being very defensive and not wanting Pacey's help there. And it took like a while for Jack to like realize what Pacey was doing for him and actually like thank him and appreciate his support.
I just need a comeback for Jack, because I don't see the point in even keeping him as a character if you're just going to punch him down all the time.
Exactly.
Like, he is
Yes.
he's actually supposed to be this positive, progressive character.
Yeah.
And you're treating this character very, very badly at the moment.
Yes. And the one guy who like went on the date with Audrey and was kind of an asshole, and kind of like, and the one who was like homophobic and didn't want to share a room with him, like, he's actually kind of gotten back on good ground with Jack, and has been kind of the one at least kind of trying to play the middleman and be like, Jack, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, man, just ignore them. They do really, have your best interest at heart. Like, I'm sorry, but and he's trying to play the middleman and be still somewhat supportive of Jack, and like just trying to like interpret for the fraternity and be like, it's cool, man. Like, don't leave. We really want you around. Like, he's trying to be that kind of guy. So when what happens in the next episode, it's like, what was the point of that? Like, you trying to vouch for Jack and try to like be kind of supportive to him when the house was kind of failing him, just to do what you ultimately did because of your own like self-hate or whatever. So yeah, so this whole situation just feels like we're just we don't know what to do with Jack. So we gotta just like gay, homophobic stuff. Like, that's like what you lean on. Yes, when you don't know what to do with Jack, homophobic stuff, like that's what it feels like.
I mean, unfortunately, it loses its impact. It has a great impact the first and maybe second times you do it, but it loses its impact when you do the same point. It's almost as though, I mean, this is a wild thing to say as we get on to talking about Professor Wilder. Not that it's got anything to do with Professor Wilder, but it's a wild thing to say that I almost feel like it would have been, or you would have been better off writing Jack off like you did with his sister, and therefore making him have a bigger impact because he's essentially retired at his peak. He's not had the downslope of, put it in sports terms, your legs are failing you, you're not as quick as you once were. You know, you don't have the touch that you once had, and people are just remembering the good times now. I need an upturn for Jack to get back to that. If I don't see
Yes.
that, he should have been written off before season 5, is where
Yes,
my mind's
and then the frustrating thing of sandwiching these 2 really great moments of integrity in with, like, this belligerence that he has with this fight
Yeah.
and this kind of whiny, not taking responsibility for his grades, getting all upset about getting scolded about it, and then kind of escalating this fight. And yes, the brothers were wrong for, like, teasing him and escalating the teasing and making it kind of about him being gay. All of that, like, terrible. Jack needs to maybe see that to, like, realize these guys aren't good friends or whatever. But before that, when the whole roommate situation happened, he handled that with so much grace. He went and talked to the guy, very much called him out and
Yeah.
said, you know, um, if you are gonna have the views that you have, then you just don't need to talk to me. But when you're ready, I'm here. Like, the fact that Jack could get to that place in his homosexuality, in knowing himself and accepting himself, that he doesn't have to, like, spread that vitriol to somebody who is outright discriminatory of him. He can say, the door's open if you want to talk about it, but if it's not, then you don't need to talk to me, kind of thing. But then clearly they made some kind of peace in between that time, because now this is his one kind of seeming ally. And then he has this belligerent getting drunk and acting out moment, ignoring Pacey's support, kind of being kind of belligerent and rude and defensive. And then sandwich that into, like, another very moment full of integrity in the next episode, how he handles
Yeah.
that homophobic situation again. So it's like, why are we doing this, like, wave of maturity and immaturity with Jack? Because
This is what I said before, it's a roller
how he handled the
coaster.
roommate, yes, how he handled the roommate situation, very mature. How he handled the academic probation situation, very immature. Now how he handles this other homophobic situation, very mature. So, like, why now you're, like, messing with this, like, very strong integrity and growth that we've gotten from the character in accepting himself. So,
Yeah, exactly. It's a really unpleasantly messy place Jack's in at the moment.
yeah.
I don't like any of it. I think that's perfectly clear. But of course, what we should use as a bridge between these episodes we're talking today is Joey and Professor Wilder, because what on
Yeah.
earth is this here for? Did we need any of this? Okay, was it alluded to? Was it
Quite a bit, yes.
maybe built up to be something like this? Yes, it was, as you said.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand why we're here. I believe that we would be here with these 2 characters. I
Yeah.
don't like any of it. Go away now, prison with him. Except not prison with him, because technically speaking, it wouldn't be prison with him. Just
No, and
off
even
campus. Sack him, fire him away from the job. Not doing this.
but I at least can say I appreciate that at least he is not pursuing it, or
No,
like,
he isn't.
this was not a planned decision like it was with Tamara. Like, Tamara literally went up to Pacey and laid a crazy kiss on him and endorsed this affair.
Yeah,
Whereas
this
when
is
they
very much coming from Joey's side.
yes, like,
Primarily.
Joey leaned in for the kiss. Joey, like, has ran back and gave him a second kiss in the next episode.
Yeah.
And even when they kissed, he was very much surprised and, like, confused. And so he had the appropriate reaction in the moment that was, if we're comparing it to, like, another similar Dawson's Creek situation, a more appropriate response. So I will
did.
say, okay, at least they're playing it that, like, he was not planning this, like, that he wasn't alluding to kind of any feelings. Like, yes, there was an energy, and I'm like, we saw that, we felt that, but he never kind of endorsed anything in that kind of space. So I
No,
think
I
that
mean,
yeah.
you would ask, can people not just have nice relationships with their
Yeah,
students, nice teacher-student
exactly.
relationships, without it going weird without it having to be some sort of romantic affair.
Yeah.
What's going on? We even had a real strong, consistent teacher and student relationship in Dawson's Creek that hasn't been this? Because the only other notable one that lasted any length of time at all was Tamara and Pacey, and that was even worse than this, right? That was so
Right.
much worse than this. I'm
Yes.
thinking, okay, I remember Principal Green, he was nice, but did he ever really have any direct relationship with anybody? Maybe Andy. That was a decent sort of rapport
And
that them
Dawson,
two
yeah.
had. And Dawson, but it wasn't consistent. Like Professor Wilder has been there since episode 1 of this season. He's always rocking up. He's always showing up. He's always popping up. He is consistent. There's been other storylines with him in. And now this. And I don't like that we're here, but I could see it from a mile off that we were going to get here. And I suppose that's where my mind is at with it all. Do I think it should be continuing in the next episode, in the second episode? No, I do not. I mean, can we not just leave it at the end of this first episode? It's called Something Wilder for a reason. And then we can spend the rest of the next episode with Joey going, oh my God, I really shouldn't have done that. This is the worst. Oh God, what's he going to think of me? Or what's everybody going to think of me? I'm a terrible person. He could get fired, as Joey would do, start overthinking and panicking about everything.
Yeah.
But we don't even get that. We get kind of half double down of it. And
yes, like she has
why?
She starts these awkward conversations with him. But then they kind of play into it. Like she kind of says like we're gonna end it, but then she kind of just allows herself to get sucked back into the kind of exhilaration of what this situation is. So it's really interesting that like this is the thing that's getting her to kind of open up to this whole experience, because we've seen her be very like nose in a book, very closed off, kind of it with the whole college experience. And so maybe it was the whole Charlie situation that like opened her up to now
terrible karaoke of last episode.
Yes, to now like being open to anything. But like I appreciate that at least there's a baseline for it. Like we've seen them get on really well, have a good rapport, really understand each other. There's a respect there. There's a kind of an energy there, like even Audrey just kind of teasing it and like telling her go for it and like, you know, and that kind of thing. But her
Audrey's
always having
kind of sat there on the side going, I would if I could. Ooh, look at him. He's so pretty.
Exactly. So yeah, I appreciate that at least there was a setup for it. But yeah, like I don't know that this is the thing that Joey wants to really kind of lean towards. Like
Joey's in a funny place as well.
Yes, and like how this comes about.
Well.
And how it comes about is a kind of a comparison thing, like a nice college guy that's like sweet and kind versus this thing with Professor Wilder. So she has kind of a choice, but she already finds herself like veering more towards Wilder and kind of blowing off this other guy. So yeah, just interesting that this is the thing that's making her finally kind of take a bit of risk, when we've seen her kind of this whole college experience so far be very, you know, closed off. So
it really is.
And I don't know how like the fandom really feels about the Wilder kind of situation.
I mean, I'm sure one of our wonderful supporters in this, Eric Monroe,
Eric will let us know. Yeah, so I don't know really. I don't remember like how well this was received. If it was like, you know, there were shippers, shippers were not a thing at the time, but you know what?
Well, they were. It just wasn't called that.
It was called that, yes. So I don't know. I don't quite remember how this storyline was received by fans. I think maybe at the time that I watched it, I was like kind of into it because it's that like you're a younger person and you can have a crush on an older person, but when you become the older person, you're like,
No, it's creepy. Get
so
it away.
many storylines where like a younger person has a crush on an older person and like something happens, you can definitely be like swooning over it. But then once you become that older person and you look back on it, you're like, that's kind of an icky storyline, or that's kind of, I don't know, that feels kind of weird. Like, so it's just kind of
Yeah, and
interesting that shit
obviously,
that happens. So I can imagine that I remember thinking like, oh, this is interesting, like not hating
yeah,
it, um, or thinking it was totally weird. But yes,
yeah,
now that I'm like on the wilder side of the aging, I'm like, yeah, I don't know
yes.
about this. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, teacher-student crushes, as
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
students, teachers on crushes, are very, very frequent. These are a
Yes.
dime a dozen. So
Yes. I mean, just
that's
watch
nothing.
Indiana
That's
Jones.
nothing special, right?
Raiders of
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Lost
that
Ark.
is literally
Yeah.
nothing special about that. So
Yeah.
the energy that they did have was something that I did quite like because yeah, he's quite,
Mhm.
he is actively good looking. He is really
Yes.
pleasant. Seems a good teacher. He's very personable.
Yes.
There's every positive to Wilder that could possibly be
Yes.
within Wilder.
Humor.
So you
Yeah.
understand it all from Joey's point of view, but then
Yeah.
it goes there, and I'm just questioning, should it go there? I don't know
Yes.
if it did. I'm gonna need
E
to see where we go fully
where
with it.
Yeah, and I like that they're, like, being kind of tentative about it as well. They're not, like, gung ho, they're not, like, jumping in each other's lap. Like, she pulled away from
No.
the kiss and really had to think about it. He was also very kind of, like, confused, but, like, not totally, like, against it. Like, he had to really kind of think about it as well. The conversations between the 2 of them post it were not, like, a definitive feeling. They still kind of were, because they enjoy kind of the time they spend together. They enjoy the conversations, and of course, Joey is always the girl that is not like any other girl, like, because I think he does say something to
Yeah,
that effect, like, "There's no one like you, da, da, da." Joey and her, like, little magic uniqueness. Um,
I
uh,
suppose.
yes. So, yeah, I like that they're taking this tentative stance with it, that it's not this definitive, like, lurid affair kind of thing, that they're both very
Yeah.
intrigued and a little confused, by these feelings, because, yes, we've seen a really nice rapport throughout. So, I'm kind of conflicted, like, yeah, the age thing is weird, but, like, they did kind of set us up for this, so it shouldn't be, like, a surprise. So,
No,
yeah.
no, I suppose not. We'll get the binder back out, Janine. Let's get a proper
Yes.
synopsis for the second episode. I think we've bridged it pretty well there with the Joey and Wilder
Yes.
stuff. But
Yes.
there are plenty of other things going on in this second episode, some of which we have touched on as well. But
Yes.
yes, guerrilla filmmaking. Dawson starts to
Yes.
make Oliver's movie.
Yes, Guerrilla Filmmaking episode 14, aired February 6th, 2002. Directing Oliver's movie is not an easy task. First, Dawson has to deal with uh, Audrey's complaints about Oliver's kissing skills. Then he has to recast the other lead role after watching the footage and discovering that Oliver stinks as an actor. Now they have to find someone who can act, is hot, charismatic in less than 6 hours. They can't think of anyone but Charlie, who fits the profile
Of
like a
course.
glove. Uh, During the shooting, Audrey has a crisis and locks herself in the bathroom because she kissed Pacey and felt like she was betraying her best friend. They have to
It's a
call
wild one.
Joey. They have to call Joey, who was over at Professor Wilder's house, to solve their issue, for help. And after her blessing, Audrey is back on the set so they can finally finish the shooting. Meanwhile, Jack is fed up with his brothers and decides to move out of the fraternity house after he and Eric have a moment, and later Eric accuses him of trying to kiss him to the other guys.
Yes, another frighteningly long synopsis there. I mean,
Yes.
sort of one extreme or the other, obviously, isn't it, with
Yeah.
synopses these days on either this or on diving into Doctor Who as well.
Yeah, it
We're
depends.
never
Yeah.
quite sure what we're going
Just
to get.
weird
But
consistency. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, the filmmaking stuff is arguably the least sort of engaging stuff in these 2 episodes, to be honest with you. It's kind of just happening. It's nice to see Dawson get into feeling like he's doing some good again.
Yeah.
It's also, as I think we've mentioned, nice to see Oliver not be all that, because he's just getting shot down at every given opportunity. "Oh,
Yeah.
Oliver, you're a terrible kisser. I don't want to kiss Oliver. He's awful. Look at him. Oh
Yes,
god, he's
he's
also an awful
awkward.
actor."
Yes, because he insisted on starring in this movie that he wrote, and so, yeah, he's not great. We open the episode with them filming a scene of, Audrey and him coming into the apartment, and this very, like, you know, too cool kinda dialogue,
Yes.
like yes, so,
As though they are trying to replicate Kevin Williamson's dialogue, but not doing it quite like Kevin
yeah,
Williamson
exactly.
did.
Yes, and Audrey brings up some good points, like, if I like a guy, I'm not gonna tell him I like him, like, that's not how this
Yes.
works. So, it very much is like Oliver trying to write a woman and, like, what she would say and, like, not having any, like, actual clue on what that sounds like. So, but I do
Not
love the kind of
exactly
concept.
unbelievable.
Yes. But I do like the concept of, like, it feeling like, episode 1 when Dawson's making his monster movie, because that's literally, I
Yeah,
think, how that first pilot episode opens, is the
yeah.
scene from the monster movie. And then we pull away and see that it's a movie he's making. So, like, we open with the scene playing out and then the cut and all that stuff. And then it's, like, nice to see that, like, Pacey's doing the boom operating, Audrey's
Oh, yeah,
acting in the
everybody's getting
film,
involved.
Jen gets to, clap the little thing. Like, everybody, like, is all involved in this little project. So it feels kind of like we're getting back to season 1 stuff, which is just kind of a cute, like, warm little nostalgic feeling. And
It
again,
is.
like
But
we
what
talked
about what
about in the
about
last
Audrey
episode.
kissing Pacey, though? This is what I want to talk about.
Yes, Pacey is helping her rehearse lines. Well, like comes to him in the restaurant and says, "Hey, you were supposed to help me." He's like, "What are you doing here on your day off?" And she's like, "Well, you promised you were going to help me run lines." And he's like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like making an omelet. Restaurant's closed. And he's like, "Oh, I'm kind of busy at the moment." And some girl walks in, and he calls her the wrong name. And she gets
Mm,
mad and storms off. And so she's already kind of getting like a, okay. But then he does help her with the lines, and it's a kissing scene, and, like, she jumps on top of him and kisses him, but then the kiss is like a real kiss, but then they feel bad, and Pacey has to, like, cover himself with a pillow because he's like, um, very much like, trying not to show that he feels things. And so,
yeah.
yeah, they realize that there are some feelings there. We didn't
Which
mention in the last.
we
Yeah.
briefly touched on in the last episode, because there was a little bit more of heightened flirtatious behavior going on between Audrey
Yes.
and Pacey. So this is another example of something I can 100% believe happening.
Yeah.
Not something I necessarily hate, to be honest
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
but how are they gonna feel about this? Clearly, it didn't have an immediately great reaction. It was one of panic. "Oh god, we can't possibly feel this way for each other, can we? We can't possibly have
'Cause
this
of
be a
Joey.
real kiss."
Yes. Well, because of Joey. But I like that even in the
Yeah,
prior episode, which we didn't really talk about, like, there was a moment kind of showing maybe like, a little peek of what this dynamic looks like, because Pacey's there at the dorm room to pick up Audrey to give her a ride to work. And she's like, "I can't leave until I help Joey with the situation," because Joey makes a date with the nice guy, or to, like,
yeah,
do this thing with Professor Wilder. And she can't decide. So Audrey's laying out the options of Joey's choices in front of Pacey. Pacey is kind of like having a bit of a weird reaction because it's like his ex, like, in two guys, and like
yes.
Pacey's like, "No, it's fine. Like, we can talk about this." And so I think just showing us that, like, Pacey can be there and present when Joey's talking about dating other guys and like it be fine was, I think, just a little prelude to show us that, like, yeah, they are in a friendly place. So
Yeah.
them talking about other relationship isn't a big deal. I didn't quite like that Pacey threw this line out there when Audrey was like talking up, I think she should go for Wilder. He's hot, da 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 da. And Pacey's like, oh yeah, been there, done that with the teacher-student relationship, 10 out of 10. He says some like gross thing like that. Which I guess from his perspective, yeah, it would be like 10 out of 10, but still,
sure,
like,
but you know, Pacey,
yeah.
this may come back as trauma in later life. You don't
Yes.
know.
So yeah, when I'm like, they really threw that in there, like, yikes. But yeah, and then even at a certain point when she's kind of talking about it, like Pacey kind of like walks away, like he doesn't want to hear it a little bit too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
but it
just
was like
think they're going to have to, in my opinion, they're going to have to face the truth with each other. It might be a little something to overcome in the Joey sense, but really, that's the problem stopping them at the moment. And I genuinely don't think Joey's going to be that bothered. I would hope to God.
well,
Joey's
no,
not
she
that
doesn't.
bothered,
Well, she
because
doesn't because
if this
we see the
obviously does
scene.
happen and go forth, yeah, and
Yeah.
Joey isn't
Feel some type of way
overly
about it.
concerned.
Yes, well, I mean, that happens because, after they kiss, they feel really weird about it and, like, are worried, like, "Oh my gosh, Joey," like, Audrey loves Joey, so, like, she wouldn't wanna break that girl code. Pacey just also kind of a weird thing, like, out of being with anybody, like, her roommate, like, I don't know. So, this kiss happens, and then she has to do this kissing scene with Charlie, and Charlie's, like, tonguing her down, and she's like, "This is gross," and she's also feeling weird because Pacey's the boom operator right there. So then she stands up, and she's like, "I can't do this with you right here," and, like, everyone's like, "Huh?" And she's like, "You're a bad boom operator," and, like, storms off and tries to make it about that, but it's really because, like, she likes Pacey, and she can't, like, kiss this other guy while Pacey is standing there. So then Pacey has like a little private conversation with Dawson that like he kind of likes Audrey and like what should he do? Um, and then so Dawson calls Joey, and so she leaves Professor Wilder, which we see kind of their whole situation, which we'll get into a little more. But Joey goes there and Joey kind of clocks the situation pretty much immediately. Like Pacey's kind of trying to dance around it. And she's like, "You like Audrey, don't you?" And he's like, yeah." So then they go in there and she's like, "You kissed Pacey, didn't you?" And she's like, "Pacey, why would you say anything?" It's like, "No, you know, I intuited," I think she says.
Yeah.
Pacey didn't tell me anything. Like, if you guys like each other, like, I would rather you guys be together than like Pacey be with some random girl and you with some random guy. Cause I love you and I love you. And like, I think this is great. So she, it's not so much it's not so much permission, it's my blessing. So she gives them
Yeah.
her blessing to be together. And so they feel okay about it. And even after the fact, Audrey tries to fight it a little bit. Like Pacey goes in to kiss her and she's like, "You're not my type. You're not my type. I'm trying to convince myself." But they end up kind of going with it. So
listen, it'll be a fun one, I feel, because this is a
yes,
completely different dynamic to Pacey's other romantic partners we've seen.
exactly.
Audrey is so unbelievably outgoing and just freewheeling and wild.
Yes, complete opposite of Joey, who was his, last serious relationship. Because I wouldn't really call the boat girl like a serious relationship.
No,
And
but
the
I
thing
mean,
with
Andy.
Karen, and the thing with Karen was very complicated. So,
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm talking about Andy from seasons ago.
yeah,
Andy herself wasn't exactly overly outgoing either. Very insular, troubled,
yes, yeah.
studious person. So.
Yes. So this is like his first like freewheeling, I think, kind of like could
Yes.
match his kind of snarky, kind of fun energy. So yeah, like I'm curious to relive what this relationship looked like because I remember glimmers of it.
Okay.
But yes.
I mean, with Dawson's Creek relationships, they don't last that long in the grand scheme of things.
So you're not
something's gonna happen.
expecting. So you're not expecting an end game situation with the two of them. Is what you're
No,
telling
I
me.
don't. I'm not expecting the end of season 6 for these two to be together. I'm not. I'd love it if they were. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun. I just think the show has taught me to not believe or to not hope for that.
Okay. Okay, so you're not expecting a season 6 finale where Joey's marrying Professor Wilder, where
Well, not that obviously
where
that's not
where
going to happen.
Pacey where Pacey and Audrey we're having a triple marriage with Joey and Wilder, Pacey and Audrey, and Jack and Dawson and Jen.
Yes, I mean, look, would I like to see Dawson and Jen end season 6 together? That'd be cool. Would I like
Yeah.
to see season 6 end with Pacey and Audrey together? I'm thinking that'd be cool. I don't even barely know that relationship at this point, so I don't know how long it lasts. I don't know what it even looks like in the grand scheme of things. Joey and Wilder we can forget about in 3 episodes' time, I think, about roughly.
Okay.
Something will happen and that will be forgotten about and we'll
Okay.
move on eventually. That tends to be how Dawson's Creek works. But not, those other 2 I do quite like. I just don't expect it.
Okay.
There's a difference there.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. Okay. But yeah, I think it's a super cute dynamic. So I'm excited to relive that relationship and see what it looks like. Cause I have glimmers again of kind of what
Yeah.
their relationship looks like. But a cute start. Like I don't even think I remembered like that was kind of how it started until it was happening, like as I mentioned.
Okay.
But yeah. So yeah, with the Joey thing, she, has kind of these awkward conversations with Wilder and she tries to kind of talk about it and he's like apologizing, but she's like, no, like you don't really need to apologize. I'm not looking for an apology. So she's not like really regretting anything. She's still kind of just trying to understand like her feelings about it. And so she can't really say what she needs to say. So later she decides to stop by his house and like he catches her out the window, just like pacing, trying to think about what she's gonna say.
Mm.
So he goes out there and goes to talk to her and she tells him, yeah, I'm not looking for an apology. Like, I don't think we did anything wrong, but like, I'm going to shake your hand and just kind of go my separate way. I'm probably going to leave your class. And he's like, okay, that's understandable. Like, you don't need my class. Like, you'll be great no matter what you do, kind of thing. So he invites her in, and yeah, they're having this conversation. And he's kind of telling her, oh yeah, so never met anyone like you before.
Mm.
And they go and lean in for another kiss and then her phone rings, so it's Dawson calling her and she's like, I have to go. And so she gets her stuff and is about to leave and then she runs back in and kisses him and then leaves. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what must Wilder be thinking at this point? We don't really get to see his POV on anything. So
No. So again, I like that he's not like fully kind of like weird about it. He's still kind of confused and trying to figure it out. So at
very.
least there's that. At least there's that. So yeah,
It's not as strong as Prison with him, as I was saying before.
exactly. Yeah. So I'm again another situation where I'm like, I don't quite remember how this plays out. So I'm curious
Okay.
to see.
Okay.
But yes.
What about
So
Jack's
then,
stuff then? Because this is even more depressing on the Jack
yes.
front,
So
isn't it?
so after all of that scenario and like Pacey's trying to talk to him and he's still a little bit kind of defensive of the brothers. They're at like some meeting talking about some upcoming party and Jack walks in and it's like been like a weird amount of time and like him and the guys who fought there's like hey kind of like awkward. And then the one guy, I think Greg, the one who, we've had issues with, like he was gross to Audrey. Then he lied
Yeah.
on Jack about the roommate situation, but now he's been like his greatest ally here, like trying to bridge the gap between them. He's like, oh, the guys care about you, man. Like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Like, he's been that kind of guy. So they've seemingly made some kind of peace. So Jack is like venting to him. He's like, yeah, I don't know what to do, man. Like, I feel like it's past the point of apologizing, but like, I kind of want to make it right, but I just feels awkward. And he's like, oh, it'll be fine, man. So they're in his room and they're like talking. And, Greg asks him, like, so how did you know you were gay? And Jack kind of says, it's like, I think I've always known on some level, but it was more for me about like just accepting it. So like I knew for a long time, but I kind of pushed it down. So it was more about me finally just being okay with it and accepting it. And then like
Yeah.
Greg like kind of Jack is like laying on the floor on his back, and Greg is laying next to him, like leaning up on his elbow, and he's like, "Wow, Jack, like I wish I could be a guy like you," or something. Like he says some like really
Yes.
soft like compliment, like he wishes he could be like Jack or something like that. And he kind of like leans forward a little bit, and it's like a
Mm.
quiet pause. And so like him asking like, "How do you know you're gay?" and kind of having this sensitive moment with Jack, you feel an energy like Greg is probably like, you know, all this kind of like self-hate of or like homophobic thing is coming because he maybe feels like
Yes.
he is that. So then Jack is
He
kind
is
of sensing the
closeted. He appears to be closeted and has never had anybody suggest to him that he was allowed to be gay, because you
yes.
must
So
feel, of course, as
yeah,
a strugglingly closeted gay person, gay teenager,
yeah,
you would have that sense of, will the world, will my world, will
accept
my
me.
people allow me and accept me to be gay? Not that that's got
Yeah.
anything to do with it, but you would have that
Yeah,
feeling.
exactly. So Jack kind of immediately reads the silence as a little awkward, but of course, Jack, like, showing now that he's kind of in this really
Yeah,
self-accepting state for himself, he, tries to kind of ease the situation, so he sits up and like, "Oh, hey, man, you wanna, like, watch that video or play that game or whatever?" Trying to just kind of move the subject along, and, Greg gets really awkward and is like, "Oh, no, man, I gotta go," and he's like, "Really? Like, just kind of be honest with yourself. Like this was like a little bit of a weird situation. We can move past it. We can move through it." But Greg's like, "No, no, man, gotta go. I gotta go," and makes it even more weird. So Jack's like,
mm,
"Okay." Cut to the two brothers, kind of the main brothers like walk into Jack's room and he's like, "Hey, man, so um, Greg told us that you came on to him the other day and tried to kiss him," and he's
tried to
like,
kiss him. It's too
yeah,
much, you can't be going around doing that. Jack is
yes,
taken firmly aback by this.
yeah.
Why on earth would he go and do this? I mean, how self-hating can Greg possibly be? Because we're
That
not
now he has
told
to go
either
what if it's
way about Greg's sexuality or anything like
no, and Jack wouldn't have either. Like, he should know
no.
Jack at this point that Jack wouldn't have told anybody, Jack wouldn't have made a big Jack wouldn't have even insinuated anything. Jack was literally trying to give you an out to just kind of move past it, and you have to like jump the gun and get him because you are paranoid that he's going to get you or like tell on
Yeah,
you or something. So he tells this lie that Jack came on to him, and they're like scolding him that you can't do this. And Jack's like, "Are you kidding me? You really think, oh yeah, like I'm just going to go around and kiss all the guys?" Like he's like, and he's like, "If you just apologize, it'll be fine." He's like, "I'm not apologizing for anything. Like, you guys have already clearly made up your mind. Like, you're not gonna hear my side or believe my side. So, you know what? I'm just gonna move out." So, yeah, like
yeah,
this the situation started with academic probation and like Jack feeling some type of way that like they weren't supporting him through that or whatever. And very kind of immature in like him taking responsibility for his failing grades. And now it's turned into like this gay integrity moment again. Like that's just going to be Jack's
constant.
like roller coaster of storytelling. So where I love how Jack handles the situation, like why are we getting this kind of situation yet again? Like again,
I
it
mean,
just
yeah,
feels
look,
very lazy, like you don't know what to do with Jack. So we're just going to write some kind of gay conflict storyline
yeah.
for him again.
From Jack's mentality, it's far more positive than last episode. He
Yeah.
deals with this wonderfully,
Mhm.
in absolutely the right way. Doesn't make a big, huge deal of it, but is
Yeah.
clearly deeply offended. You
Yeah.
guys mean, if you think I would actually do this, if you're gonna believe that, I don't want you. You don't have a place in my
Yeah.
heart and home, so I'm gonna move out. Bye. Best
Yeah.
possible thing to do. He's going to struggle with that because it again is yet another homophobic incident, but
Yeah.
he does deal with it very, very well. I
Yeah.
pity people like Greg who
Yes.
clearly are just going through it and don't know how to deal with it.
How to
It's
handle
like
it.
it's not even, I don't even blame Greg necessarily, because he is clearly, unless he
Lost.
isn't gay and he's doing it from pure hatred, which is
Yes,
we
or
don't
just
know
like
either way.
yes, or just curiosity. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't remember again like if this Greg situation like lingers for a little bit longer, or if we get a resolution to it, or if this is just kind of a reason to get Jack back into like the friend group situation. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about, like, I love how Jack handled the situation, but did we need this situation kind of again similar to like other situations
No.
that we've had? So it's nice to see Jack is in a place of accepting himself and knowing who he is and having this sense of integrity when dealing with bigoted kind of behavior.
Absolutely.
But like seeing his immaturity kind of in handling that situation just kind of contradicts how he handled this situation and the situation prior with the roommate stuff, and it just feels kind of lazy for him. So yeah.
Yeah. A lot of interesting things going on though,
Yeah,
and
but you're still feeling
interesting
good
things
about
coming
season
forward.
5?
I'm still feeling good about season 5 in the general for the most part. I don't think there's been anything
Okay.
here that has bothered or annoyed me or anything like that.
Okay.
It's almost more just questioning the direction of certain characters rather than everything
Okay.
going funny. I still
Okay.
really enjoy Dawson's Creek, the college years, and there are a few storylines within, that are developed in these 2 episodes we've talked about today that I'm very interested to see where they go, namely
Okay.
Pacey and Audrey.
All right.
Fun
And I think
time.
I'm waiting for us to get to goatee Pacey. 'Cause I remember
Oh,
that.
I don't want goatee Pacey. No, not
Yes,
Pacey
I'm
with a
curious.
goat.
I'm curious. Yes, I'm curious about your thoughts on goatee Pacey when we get there. But yeah.
Terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there at some point, won't we? I
Yeah.
suppose, on discovering Dawson's Creek. Of course, this is one of our TV-based shows we talk on a Monday here on It's a Wonderful Podcast, alongside at the moment diving into Doctor Who as well, alternating every other week there. Morgan Hasn't Seen is every Wednesday, currently in a Sandra Bullock series. The main show celebrating old movies every Friday, currently in a World War II on film series. Very good times all week long on It's a Wonderful Podcast. Of course, do subscribe wherever you are listening to today's episode. Subscribe and ding your notification bell on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel if you have been watching along with us today on discovering Dawson's Creek. Ding that notification bell, leave the comments, do all the fun stuff you do on YouTube. It's exciting as well. All the other videos we have. But yes, leave your comments on Spotify if you are an audio listener. Like, share, rate, and review on any other major podcast platform you may be on: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, any other such place. And if you want to support us on Patreon or donate in any way, you can find links to do that in the description of today's episode. And of course, find us on and across all the social media on the app formerly known as Twitter and Blue Sky at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at The Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in there, because, Janine,
3 is a magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at The Purple Dawn. All your weird, kissing, unnecessary romantic tension is where?
You could find me @JanineDeBean_ on Twitter, JanineDeBean on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want to get any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
Does leave us only one thing left to do, of course, Janine, and in your finest impression of Busy Phillips, please, because I don't think you've done an Audrey impression.
No, I can't do it. 3, 2, 1.
That's quite good. Bye.